in between, we have done a few tutorials and worksheets too. Today, then with the patterns of organization of paragraphs, then we came to the different elements and components of a workshop, of a paragraph, right? And today, what we are going to look at is more specific to what we refer to as style. Okay, let me share the screen with you, and I will take you to. Should we see additional videos? Should you see? Well, if you are interested into looking at these things, then you can. Right? These are not mandatory sessions, of course, but those of you are willing to look at the things, obviously you have a chance to do that. Okay. So let me. This one. Remember this one, this very slide in the beginning that we looked at. Not these. Yeah, right. Look at this. What did we see? Organize the elements of professional writing. We looked at 4 of them. This is one slide we'll be referring back and forth. Every time we introduce a new section for the writing for this tutorial, we'll refer back to this to see where we began with, right? So people who have looking at the materials and people who have been coming to the session, they know what we were doing. So 4 main things we looked at as elements of professional writing. We had organized and developed paragraphs, appropriate writing style, clarity of ideas, spelling and grammar. Okay. So among this, first one, the first point is covered. In the last 4 weeks, what we have been doing is looking at how can we organize and how can we develop a paragraph. Both of this has been looked at. Right? In terms of organization, we had all those 10, 12 different methods in which you do that. And we also looked at the development of paragraph itself, right? So these 2 parts, the first point and the point of organization and development is covered till now. Today, we are going to begin looking at the second one, that is, what do we mean by appropriate writing style? Okay. Now here, it's going to become a little technical in nature, in the sense that we're going to look now closely at sentences and how, how to construct a sentence itself. So there's 2 parts to this when we look at the style. One is how do we arrange sentences themselves? How do we write them? How can we write them? And how do we style sentences? Okay? So by what, now I don't mean that I'm going to teach you subject, verb, object. I'm going to assume that you already know it. It has already been a part of both your English 1 lectures and English 2 also have them. So we're not going to get those things. We are going to look at how can we formulate them in a way that we can have an appealing piece of writer, right? So that's what we are going to do. Now, within elements of style, you have the things that you see on the screen, right? What do you have? You have clarity, accuracy, brevity, sentence length, paragraphs, and reader centricity. Now, the thing that you see on the screen, this is true of any kind of writing. Forget about professional or creative or anything. Whichever the genre of writing is, these things that you see on the screen are necessary for every style. You cannot have a good piece of writing, a good piece of writer without paying attention to the things, to these 5, 6 points that you see here. The first 3, that's clarity, accuracy, brevity. These are impressions that come out of a good piece of writing, right? So if you have, say, you've written a letter, or if you've written a report, or say you have written an essay, people are going to value it for clarity, accuracy, and brevity, right? So these are the outcomes of a well-written writer, a well-written piece of writing. Now, what contributes to it? Your paragraphs, your sentence length, and your reader centricity, right? These are the 3 things you will keep in mind before when you're forming the whole writer in order to achieve clarity, accuracy, and brevity. What do you mean by accuracy? What do you accuracy refers to? Clarity, definitely, we have discussed this point on clarity at length while we were dealing with it in the first session. Clarity refers to specificity, right? Your purpose should be defined, right? Your audience should be defined, right? And your area of writing should be defined. These three things need to be completely identified and defined in order to have a good clarity. Of course, rest of the things are also tied to clarity, accuracy and sentence length and brevity and paragraph, all of them contribute to clarity. But specifically what we mean about when you say clarity, what you rightly mean by it is that your purpose, your audience, and your form of writing, all the three should be done well. You should know who you are writing to, what you are writing for, who's your audience. These things become a part of the clarity in general. And of course, all the other things also contribute to the to better clarity of writing. What do you think is accuracy? What do we mean by accuracy? Any idea? What do you think would be accuracy? When I say there should be accuracy in writing, what am I referring to? Any anything that you want to talk about? Information within, yes.
Correct
What?
information, ma'am.
All right. Yeah, you should have correct. Yeah, you before you write anything, you should gather all the necessary information required. All right. And more than more to that. Do you just need the right information? No typos. Okay.
No spelling mistakes and grammatical
No
errors.
spelling errors, no grammatical errors. Yes. So accuracy here, in fact, refers to structure and grammar. Okay, accuracy in terms of structure and grammar, which means that shouldn't your write be free of any grammatical errors. Okay, that's the major understanding of what accuracy means, and of course other things like you should have the right kind of information and all that. I mean, that doesn't require a discussion, right? You have to have that. Of course, you cannot furnish wrong details while you write. But what we mean by accuracy here is the structure and grammar. All right. Brevity. What does that word mean? Brevity. Heard this before? What brevity? Have you come across this word? Yeah, concise. Yeah, you can say concise. You can also say more than. Okay, concise is right. But brevity usually refers to writing only what is required. Okay. It also means throwing out things that are redundant, throwing out things that are irrelevant. Okay. So no, this basically refers to no uncircumferential writing. You know, if you want to write something, please it means be to the point. Write short, write to the point. And this is one of the classic uh, characteristic features of professional writing. Okay? We don't look for a lot of brevity within creative writing, although it does not mean that creative writing shouldn't does not need any brevity. But in professional writing, particularly because there are time, space constraints, be something that we brevity has, higher importance. It has more importance than what it would have in creative writing. Okay, so that's what brevity means. Brevity means to be intact and to the point. Then sentence length is what we are going to discuss today mostly. Sentence styles. Paragraphs we already had a look at. Then we know how they have to be written. So I'm not going to discuss them over again. Reader centricity. Now, whatever you do with your sentence or with your paragraph or your arrangement or anything, as a writer, what you have to be always focused on is who is your reader. Right? If you're writing for, say, a scientific community, it will have a different tone, structure, and feel to it. Whereas if you're writing for a very different audience, say not they are students, they're children, then you're going to maintain a very different style of writing, right? So reader centricity in writing is very important. This ties back to your first point on clarity that you need to identify your audience well before you write. Okay? Keep your reader in mind, and if you know the reader and the reader psychology in mind, you can be a better writer. Okay, so that's one thing. Right. So this is what you classify generally as elements of style. When you say style, when I say writing style, these are the points that we focus on. Okay. Now we'll start with the first part of style. We have two things in here. We'll be looking at two kinds of styles. One is particularly with reference to the sentence as a whole. You know, what kind of sentences can you write is the first part. The second part is going to be more focused on what happens within the sentence. So there are two ways you can style or you can, arrange and write sentences while you are doing professional writing. First is the arrangement of the sentences themselves. Okay. Second is the arrangement of things within the sentences. Now, within the sentence, again, as I mentioned, I'm not going to talk about object and other things that you have already learned. We are going to see how some special elements can be placed within the sentences to give it a, give it the kind of style that you want. Okay, so that comes later. Today, what we are going to look at is the different kind of sentences or the placement of different types of sentences to achieve the desired style you want, okay, or to achieve the desired purpose that you want. Right. So generally in professional writing, we prefer shorter sentences. Okay? We do not go for very long, circumvented, convoluted writing. Why do we not do that? Because our idea or your purpose in professional writing is to convey a point at the shortest possible time in the most specific way. Writing longer sentences can sometimes cloud your thoughts. It can also create confusion to the reader. Hence, the most preferred style or the most preferred type of sentences, the length of sentence in professional writing is a short sentence. Now, like I told you about the other things in the beginning, this is not a hard and fast rule. Okay, we don't until so if you can guarantee clarity even with say a long sentence. Say you are a seasoned writer, you are very skilled in writing by now. You're a good author, you can always play and experiment with the existing style. So no one's going to stop you from that. However, whenever you take these norms and you go into the experimental mode, just keep one thing in mind that your idea is conveyed well. Your idea is clear and it's conveyed well to your audience. If that happens, then there is no with it. But if you're beginning, right? If you're a beginner and you just begin writing, you're taking baby steps towards it. It's always nice that you build your professional writing skills with shorter sentences. Then start with a very long sentence which may go wrong, which may not be presented well, right? So shorter sentences is the preferred one, but not a hard and fast rule if you're a seasoned writer, right? Now, what does a shorter sentence do? They can keep the communication intact, to the point, direct, all of these things. Look at those words: intact, to the point, direct, all of these things that you see on the screen. Sorry. Okay, all of them that you see on the screen, intact, to the point, and direct, these were all part of what we mentioned as professional writing. Remember this when we discussed this in the first class. If you had been a part of that class, we did this clearly that day that all these three things that you see on the screen, intact, to the point, and direct, they are all the characteristic features of professional writing, right? Which is why you prefer shorter sentences here as well. So, shorter sentences enable you to keep all of them in line. So, it keeps the communication intact, to the point, and direct. Okay, which is why this is the most preferred method. But what is the risk associated with it? The risk associated with it is that it can sound very redundant. Imagine me, writing 10 sentences. Say I'm writing a paragraph and my paragraph has 10 sentences or say 5 sentences. Okay. And all the 5 sentences are short. Right? How does it look? Unless I have some very different kind of purpose to achieve, in a normal writer, it's going to look very redundant. It's going to sound very monotonous. It's not going to excite the reader. It's going to sound really boring. It is okay in the workplace email communication to write things like that because it's not the most look forward piece of writing. Okay, people just want to look at what they have to do and then quickly get on to their toes and do the work. But if it is a more public document, if it is something that needs a presentation, something that needs to be submitted, documented somewhere, then just few short sentences is not going to be impressive, right? People are going to really be bored reading a document that's written that way. So the risk associated is that it may sound redundant. Now, what happens with longer sentences? Why do you say that we don't want long sentences? While longer sentences can convey very complex thoughts and it can also make your ideas sound very comprehensible, the problem with it is that it can cause hindrance to clarity. How? Because you're going to put too many things together in one sentence and it can lead to a lot of confusion to the reader. So these kind of sentences, which run high on, which pack multiple ideas together and hence become too long in length are sometimes referred to as breathless sentences. Why are they called breathless sentences? Because by the time you reach the end of the sentence is so long that by the time you reach the end, you have already forgotten what has happened in the beginning, right? So they refer to as breathless sentences. You lose it, you lose the plot. You have no idea. You have lost the presence of the idea itself, right? So you see that using too much short sentences, too many short sentences is counterproductive. Using longer sentences can also be counterproductive. Now, what is the solution that we have? You combine both of them, right? So you look at your purpose, what you are writing, who are you writing for, and choose a correct form of writing, and use both short and long sentences together to present your points. Okay, so that avoids the two risks that we talked about. If you mix both of them, it will avoid the redundancy caused by shorter sentences, and it can also avoid the hindrance to clarity because of the breathlessness that is created by the longer sentences. Understood? Okay, am I making myself clear to you? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll look at sentences and you will understand them better. Right now, I'm just taking you through what these things mean. We'll very soon look at examples and you'll more well versed with what I mean by all of this. Now, when do we usually use? So now we have established that we are not going to just use short sentences or just use long sentences. Okay, long sentences anyway, we said that it is a no-no for professional writing. But even if it is even if the preferred choice is short sentence or short sentences, we also established that we cannot keep using them again and again. Right now. Then, if you are going to, if you have decided that the best possible option is to combine both, how do we do that, right? Or how do they facilitate us? Short sentences can always be used to begin and end paragraphs. Okay, and what do they do? To introduce and conclude the main point, that is to begin and end the paragraphs, we can always use shorter sentences. We'll discuss what they do. Okay, what happens to them? What happens when we use a short sentence is something that will be followed, that will follow in the remaining part of the class. But you can use short sentences. If you ask me about when to use short sentences in the writer, I will tell you begin and end your paragraphs with short sentences. Whereas your supporting sentences, which most often takes up the center portion of the body of your paragraph, they can be you can use longer sentences there, and when can you use longer sentences? When you want to explain, when you want to elaborate, when you want to reason out the main idea that you introduce using a short sentence, you can use the longer sentence. Okay, this is how you're going to combine it. So you begin and end with short sentences, but all your central part, the body of the paragraph, which you also refer to as supporting sentences, they can take up long sentences in order to explain, elaborate, and reason out the main idea discussed in the short sentence that you use for the paragraph in the beginning, right? And the end of the paragraph can conclude. It can summarize and put everything together into a short sentence at the end of the paragraph. So this is how a basic uh, arrangement of sentence length would look in a paragraph. Okay. Now, what do short sentences do? Okay, short sentences, they can help punctuating the idea which went before it, especially in cases where you are calling for action, or which is referred to as the persuasive step. Okay, punctuating the idea, you first give basically you instead of giving a very elaborate, long, detailed um, um, line or a sentence, you put all of them, you bring them into a very short, concise sentence. That is what we mean by punctuating the idea, right? So you bring them in a short, summarized form, and you leave it like that, so that the reader is persuaded to take an action. So you know that in the persuasive style of writing, we always keep the main idea at the end of the paragraph. Okay, remember this. If you had been to the class before, I think we discussed about this while we were talking about the specific to general kind of organization in paragraph, right? I told you that particular type is used when you want to write a persuasive piece of writing. What is a persuasive piece of writing? Say you are writing about malnutrition index in India, or you are writing about poverty index in India. So you're writing for, say, your writing is aimed at certain authorities, and you are calling for action. You want steps or some actions to be taken towards it. Or say you're writing about um, lack of representation of women in politics, okay, or women in workplaces. So anything, anything that has social significance, economic significance, or anything that calls for action. If you want the person to take an action towards it, have a policy formulated for that, you use the persuasive style of writing. And in persuasive style of writing, every time you write, you will usually find the specific to general of arrangement of paragraphs. And within that, you will see this short sentence of often appearing at the end of the paragraph, because you want to keep it short. If you write long sentences, again, as I told you, it becomes breathless. The person who reads loses what exactly are you asking them to do. So keeping it short will help them understand what is exact action, what is exactly that you want them to do. Right? So shorter sentences then become a very good uh, concluding sentence for persuasive style of writing. All right. Okay. So that's about this, and then we'll move ahead. Longer sentences, on the other hand, they help you add nuance and detail to writing. No price for guessing, that's the purpose of the longer sentence. Now, when you combine long and short, what can you do? You can have an order, right? Either you can begin with a short sentence and follow it up with a long sentence, or you can begin with a long sentence and follow it up with a short sentence. These things are available, okay, and you can do that. But the meaning produced, the stylistic meaning that it delivers are different. And we'll see what is the stylistic difference in meaning. Okay. Advait, are advertisements also included in persuasive style of writing? Exactly. So do you see any advertisements which have long, breathless sentences? They advertisements, in fact, they use only phrases or what we refer to as fragments. We'll discuss fragments. The end of this discussion is on fragments. Okay. They don't even go by long sentences. It's a very rare thing that they use that. They actually use very short catchphrases, or what we call as fragments in technical terms. We look at that. Okay. All right. So what happens? You can so two methods: short sentence followed by longer ones, or long one followed by short. Now, short sentence followed by longer sentence is usually used to flip the perspective of the reader. Let's look at what it means by perspective of the reader. Read that paragraph that you have on screen. I sat in the leftmost corner of the railway station, dreaming of the new journey, new place, people, new life, the many friendships I would meet. Mike said, I should go home. Okay? Now, look at that carefully and tell me, what do we mean by flipping the perspective of the reader? Look at it very closely, and maybe one or two of you can respond to me so that I know if you understand what flipping the perspective of the reader means. Sorry? Did it? I sat in the leftmost corner of the railway station, dreaming of a new journey, new place, new people, new life, the many friendships I would meet. Mike said I should go home. Yeah, no one? Not even a guess what would flipping the perspective mean?
Hi, ma'am. So, like here, the first person is saying
Yeah,
like the new place, new life, new many friendships. I
yeah.
can get like that. But home is somewhere. I mean, I want to go. It's like something opposite to it. So it's
It
not
is
new place.
opposite to it, right?
Yeah.
It's opposite to it. So while you read it as a reader, you begin with the impression that there's a person who's embarking on a new journey. They are dreaming about new place, new people, new life, and then the usual expectation would be that the sentences that would follow would tell you something more about where this person wants to go, what exactly are the kind of people he wants to meet or she wants to meet. But Look at the sentence. Look at that short sentence that comes after it. Mike said I should go, which means contrary to what we were expecting, the journey didn't happen. Right? The journey did not happen, and the person had to go back home. Right? So as Bhavin identified. Now, this is flipping the perspective of the reader. The reader had began with a particular perspective, but it did not continue in the same direction. The shorter sentence that went behind it, it completely flipped. Now, whatever the reader was saying, something nearly opposite to that has happened, right? So this particular thing, this talking about something that reverses the direction can be well packed meaningfully within a short sentence. If you had a longer sentence in this place, it would have brought down the effect that it has on the reader. Do you agree with me or not? Do you think if we had a longer sentence, it could have had the same kind of impact on us? No, right? So this is something that we have had from, say, this doesn't look like something that is from a professional. This looks more like a creative writing, piece of creative writing. But the same thing can happen in professional writing too. Okay, and there are many examples that we follow, so you'll see the same in others as well. Although we don't have a piece of professional writing on the screen, the same style can be applied while you write a professional piece too, right? When you want to flip the perspective of the author, or in professional space, you call it transitory writing. When you want to change, okay, so you give the details. These are the things that happened for this year, and this is the turnover. But then so and so happened, right? So if you keep that sentence following but a short sentence, it can have better impact on the reader than say writing a big long sentence. That's what it means. Understood? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now look at the second one. That is a long sentence followed by a short sentence. What can it do? Okay, no, we did not discuss the second point, right? It can also be used for punctuation of ideas. What does punctuation of ideas mean? That's very interesting. Everyone stood in queue with their luggage. Some even rushed to occupy the first spot. The train wheels screeched and howled. It halted. Okay. So just read all those sentences, or you have three short sentences, three comparatively longer sentences followed by one short sentence, right? Everyone stood in queue with their luggage. Some even rushed to occupy the first spot. The train wheels screeched and howled. It halted. What do you see? Any comments on this? No? Okay. So look at the shorter sentence that follows. It halted, right? All the sentences that went before, okay? Right, Shrestha, you're right. So all those sentences, all the three sentences that you see, they're all packed in that last sentence, it halted. See that sentence, it halted, actually is I can say it's a short form of everything that happened before, right? So everyone stood in queue with their luggage. Some even rushed to occupy the first spot. The train wheels screeched and howled. All of them are indicating towards what? The halting of the train, right? So the halting of the train has been explained in three different sentences or three long sentences. Before the short sentence, it halted. But all those three long sentences are actually pointing towards the train halting, which is what the last short sentence is. Understand? So the last sentence, in a sense, it brings together, it punctuates everything that has gone before it into one short sentence. You see that? So punctuating the ideas is also one additional task performed by shorter sentences. The first one is to flip the perspective of the reader. You can use it in such circumstances, and also in the cases where you want to punctuate ideas, right? You can use a short sentence. Is that clear? Can you see it? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, here it halted means it's an short sentence which is punctuating the ideas.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. So the all the three sentences that goes before it, it's actually pointing towards this action of the train halting. Okay. So instead of maybe writing, see all the three sentences before, I could just say train halted. But instead of saying the train halted, I put up all these things. and then punctuated it into a last sentence in order to create the impact. Okay, so this is a style of writing. Understand? Fine. Okay, so I think that's understood. Now, what happens in a long sentence that's followed by a short sentence? So short sentence, as I always told you, they quickly gives you, when you're reading, they quickly tell you, they come straight to the point. Direct. So if you're going to make your sentence too long in the beginning, okay, of course, all of this is context dependent. It strictly depends on what you're writing and who you're writing for and what context you are going to. Okay, so based on that, you have to decide what style you want to adopt. Say you're going to write something with which you want to surprise the author. Say you are writing a promotional email. Okay, let's talk more clearly now. Say you are writing a promotional email. Your company wants to launch a promotional product, or you are going to send an email regarding a promotional offer that you have. So, are you going to start your email with a very long sentence which explains everything in detail and then come back? Does it excite the reader? It doesn't excite the reader, right? So if you say you put a very short sentence in the beginning, okay, you say that, hello reader, and we have promotional offers for you. Okay, so if this is your first sentence, as opposed to our company has decided to launch a professional offer in lieu of our 10th anniversary, which one do you think will excite the reader more if you're writing? First one excite or the second one excite? No? You want me to repeat the sentence? Those of you are
Yes, ma'am.
listening? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
What
Yeah.
was the first one? So say the context is I'm writing a promotional email. Okay, I want to convey to my clients that my company is offering a promotional offer, right? So if I start an email with a long sentence saying that our company or our management has decided to launch a promotional offer in lieu of the 10th anniversary of the company and organization, so on and so forth. Or if I begin say, hello, we are launching promotional offers. Okay. Which one do you think among the two sentences that I gave you? Of course, you can improve on. I'm just trying to give you an example. Okay, which one among the two sentences that I just gave you think will excite the reader? Say I'm your client. Okay, you send me this email. Which one do you think will excite me? The first sentence, the longer sentence, or the shorter one?
The longer sentence.
You think the longer sentence?
Both
So when you say promotional offers, how do you see? Do you see them writing long sentences?
no, ma'am. Shorter.
No, right? Shorter. So look at it in terms of an advertisement. Sending an email with a promotional offer is like an advertisement only, right? So it's not very different from that. Your idea is to woo your clients. No, it is also a part of the client maintenance strategy. Now, once in a while, all these services that you take. Sometimes the mobile companies, or say Zomato or Swiggy, they all give you promo offers sometimes. Why do they do that? And do you see them writing long sentences when they write emails to you? Go back to your email IDs and just go to those spam folders. Spam folders, right? Just have a look at all those promotional emails and updates that you get them, and look at the language of them. See if they write very long sentences. Okay, if you already, maybe it is not familiar to some of you, but if you take a closer look at all of them, see if they write long sentences to you. Okay. These days, too many you get too many emails to us because if you want to buy something from the Amazon, you literally have to give away all your details. You give your address, you give your phone number, you have to give your email ID and everything. So they use this for promotional purposes also. They send you emails. Look at those emails that reach you and see the sentence structure. Okay, especially if there is an offer, they do not go ahead and write a very lengthy sentence and push you through that. The moment I see we have promotional offers for you, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, now I'll read further. Instead of giving me long sentences like, this is our 10th anniversary, and because of that, I don't care whether you have your 10th anniversary or 15th anniversary. As a customer, what excites me is that there is a promotional offer. That's all, right? So that comes in the front. So I keep it short. My major idea is to tell my consumer that, see, I'm going to give you a promotional offer and I'm going to keep it short as a writer, right? See, just think. Yeah, right. They grab, yeah, exactly. They grab you with short notes, right? So they know that there are thousands of people who are they're sending you all kinds of offers and this thing and that thing. So you're not going to click on each of the email and read what they're sending you. So if you keep it short, if you're going to keep your sentences short, there are high chances that, okay, professional offers, maybe I'll look at it. Okay. Instead of giving you a long, lengthy sentence about your legacy and your history, which I'm not at all interested in as a customer, it's better you keep it short, right? So long sentences followed by short sentence. So first you mention about your purpose in a very short sentence, and then maybe you can go ahead and write that we are really pleased to inform you that we'll be giving you a 50% coupon code, 50% of discount in view of our in view of the 10th anniversary that we're celebrating and everything else. Okay, every other detail can be a part of that. But first thing first, that I'm going to give you a promotional offer. Okay. So placing the short sentence in the beginning basically means logistically and logically, it means that first things first. I want to get your attention. I'm going to put a short sentence, be done with it, and then proceed with the details. Okay. So first thing is excite the reader. Second thing is refocus the attention on the main narrative. If I want to bring back, say I'm writing a longer essay, and at some point I want to bring the attention of the reader back to what the main point was, I can use a short sentence, right? I can use a short sentence to bring your attention back to the user point of discussion. Okay, are these 2 points understood to those of you are listening?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So this becomes a very good spelling method, a stylistic feature in sentence writing, right? So now we look at some very specific styles in sentence. Of course, this styles based on sentence length was one of it. Now we are going to specifically look at what kind of sentences can you write. Okay? We were discussing sentence length till now. Now we are going to discuss more about the types of sentences that you can use. Okay? So needless to mention, like the previous one, like in all the other previous sessions, all your styles, whether the length of the sentence, whether the types of the sentence you use, they're all purpose dependent, they're all context dependent. So you have to train yourself to understand the purpose and the context and then decide the style, right? So the first one in this is called the segregating style. What is a segregating style? It's a simple short statement, a simple sentence with one idea, right? With one idea. Now, what does this resemble? If you remember, we discussed a sentence. A topic sentence in a paragraph is going to use a segregating style, right? One idea, one statement, right? So most of the topic sentences that you're going to write for your paragraphs, they are going to have a segregating style. It's a statement with one idea. It's usually short and a very uncomplicated sentence. It contains one subject and its predication. It gives you emphasis. Remember what we write topic sentences for? The purpose of the topic sentence is to introduce you to the main idea. So tell the reader of the purpose of what you're going to write for. Okay. What is it used for? It's used to compose brief passages and to stress a particular idea. You see that all of them, in some sense, point towards how you write a topic sentence. Yes or no? If you have seen and heard what topic sentence means. Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
You agree that the sitting style is how you write a topic sentence, right? So
Yeah.
this is about that. Okay. So that's one thing. Now look at some examples. Now look at this. He writes at most 750 words a day. He writes and rewrites. He polishes and repolishes. He works in solitude. He works with agony. He works with sweat. And that is the only way to work it out. Right? All of them are a bunch of short sentences. All of them one single idea. Okay. Again, keep this in mind. This is an example from the creative writing, not strictly from professional writing. In professional writing, you won't see anything written like this. Okay. But we are discussing more about the style. So it fulfills the style that we were talking about, which was Statement with one idea, short and uncomplicated sentence, one subject and its predicate, allows for emphasis, and used to write brief passages to stress a particular idea. What is the particular idea that is being stressed in this passage that you see? He writes at most
Right.
750 words a day. Yeah, writing, right? It's about writing. It's stressing the major idea here stressed is about writing. What happens when one writes? Writes and rewrites, polishes and repolishes, works in solitude, works with agony, works with sweat. Okay, and that is the only way out it. So all of them pointing towards the task of writing. That one idea is present in all these multiple short sentences. Okay, all the sentences written in segregating style. Okay, now look at the second thing, which is like more of a essay kind of extract from an essay. The judge gave an order, and the vice consul rose and walked to the gateway, where their chairs awaited them. Here stood the more like a report, huh? Not an essay. Here stood the criminal with his guard, notwithstanding his tied hands, he smoked a cigarette. A squad of little soldiers had been sheltering themselves under the overhanging roof, and on the appearance of the judge, the officer in charge made them form up. The judge and the vice consul settled themselves in their chairs. The officer gave an order, and the squad stepped out. A couple of yards behind them walked the criminal. Then came the judge in his chair and the vice consul. So, except for that sentence, a squad of little soldiers, every other sentence is a short one, all written in segregating style. Okay, each representing one idea, each short, uncomplicated sentences with one subject and predicate, except for the one in the middle, right? That a squad of little soldiers. All the other are written in segregating style, right? The last example, before election day, Hugh Long predicted he would win if rain didn't keep the mud farmers away from the courts. It rained, right? So this is a combination. So it uses segregating style and it also uses the sentence lengths of long followed by short, right? See that?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Right? You can see that, right? All right. So when you get these documents, no, just have a look at them closely to these examples. Read the explanation given and look at these things closely. So you will understand what we mean. Okay. All right. Now, moving to the second one. So the first one was the segregating style, short, uncomplicated sentences with one idea, one subject, one predicate. Now, what is this? This is the reverse of that. What does it do? It combines various ideas, which means within a sentence, you're going to find multiple things together. So it will couple short independent clauses. I hope you know what independent clauses know by now. So I don't have to explain what it means. It couples short independent clauses to make longer sequential statements. Okay. The purpose is to give you a logic via linking. So they link multiple things together and then form a logic around that. Now, this kind of writing, it allows for continuous flow and it helps you have an experiential feeling. Okay. So because there are multiple things clubbed together and then they are put together via linking. So when I say via linking, what do you think this kind of style is going to use? The very word linking. Very word linking.
Yeah,
How
ma'am.
do you?
Long sentences.
Yeah, it's going to be long, but particularly with
With
respect
clarity,
to
with clarity and
with respect to grammar, with respect to grammatical components that you have learned.
Compound
Comment?
sentence.
Conjunctions.
Yeah, exactly. There are going to be conjunctions, there are going to be compound sentences, there's going to be coordinators, there are going to be punctuations, right? All of them are going to be available in this kind of, yes, Shweta, Babin, you're all right. Okay. So all of them are going to be made use in the Punctuating style, whereas you won't see these things in the segregating style, okay? Because there's no space for doing this in segregation. It's just one idea, there's one subject, one predicate. There's very, very less room to do these things. Since in Punctuating you can combine multiple ideas together, it makes space for having long sentences, multiple ideas, and you can use linkers to impose the logic as well. So this in turn, using all of them together can give you a continuous flow, especially when you are looking forward to write something that requires the reader, which would give the reader some an experiential feel. More than just giving them facts and details, if you are expecting your reader to experience something, then this style of sentence will help you better in that. Okay, they allow for fantasy, right? They allow for smooth movement and they bring the parts more closely than in segregating style, right? Yeah, look at segregating style. If you look at the examples that we used, give you an overall idea, but then each sentence they look a little, departed from each other. They doesn't look like they are very closely linked to each other. They're not very closely tied to each other. Each sentence speaks for itself, something new, and put together you get an idea at the end. That's all. So it's a little tough that way. But in fright train style, all of them, the parts, because it's a longer sentence and it has multiple parts, they all appear to each other very closely. They're tied very closely to each other than in the segregating style. Let's have a look at the examples. First one, a verse from the Bible. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell, and it was the fall of it. Okay, so that very word "and," what feel does it give you? Look at how the word "and" is repeated multiple times. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Does it give you an experiential feeling? Does it look like, yeah, you can experience, okay, the rains descended and the floods came and winds blew. It beat upon the house, it fell, and great was the fall of it. Does it let you experience this whole phenomenon?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the continuous use of the word "and," what does it tell you? What does it tell you? It
Linking
tells you that,
sentences.
yes, it tells you that, see, so many things are happening. It gives you an idea of so many things happening together. Okay, it gives you an idea of many. When I say and, basically what I'm doing, or I'm saying there are additionally things happening. Too many things are happening. That's what it means, right? When do you use and? And has an additional quality to it, right? So it gives you idea that there are many things happening together. Just one, not just one thing. See, so many things. There's rain, there's floods, there's winds blowing. Okay, and then all of this is descending on the house as well. So it gives you an idea about multiple things happening at a time. The continuous use of the word "and." Now the second one. This is from Hemingway's work, Ernest Hemingway. It was a hot day and the sky was bright and the road was white and dusty. Again, he also makes use of "and" multiple times. So what happens? Again, it gives you an experiential feeling, yes or no. It was a hot day, sky was bright, and the road was white and dusty. So it's giving you details, adding more to your experiences. So it again tells you there are multiple things, see, multiple forms of things around you. Okay, also gives you an experiential feeling, same as the first quote. Now the last one. This is what he writes about, and of course, about the habits of the natives. The habits of the natives are disgusting. The women hop on the floor. The forks are dirty. The trees are poor. The pond youth is not a patch on the niche. The cows are skinny. Morals are licentious. Polish is good. Cabbages cost so much. Bread is made of coarse flour. Okay, multiple things related or unrelated to each other. They're related in the sense that they have all been spoken about one kind of people and people from a particular part of the world. But those individual parts in themselves are not connected to each other. Like, folks are dirty, trees are poor are not connected to each other. Okay. Pont Neuf is not a patch on London Bridge is not connected to either of the two that went before it. Cows are skinny, not related to anything that went before it. So they are not individually connected with each other, but they all form, uh, you know, the multiple ideas that the author has about a set of people or a set of or a place that the person is trying to define, right? In that way, they are connected together, and all those semicolons, those punctuation marks, they are bringing it together. Although they are unconnected to each other, the semicolon is bringing together them to the effect that the author is talking about all of these things that she feels about, she thinks is true about a person or a place that she has visited. Okay, can you see that? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. So this is what fright train style helps. It helps you bring together unrelated parts all together in one sentence and gives you a better detailed idea of the central idea that goes before it. Okay. So this is the second style. Now we have the parallel style. Okay. Now what is parallel style? This is strictly grammatical. Okay. This is strictly related to the structure of the sentence. What is it? Two or more words or constructions that stand in an identical grammatical relationship to the same thing. Okay. They must be in same grammatical form. What do? They can give you elaboration and they can make your sentence rhythmic. Okay. It also helps establish subtlety that, when you don't want to say something outright aggressively, this parallel style helps you build that. We look at what it means through examples, but before that, I'll just, brief you on what it is. It can accommodate various tones like ironic, emotional, or intellectual. Any of the three tones are easily accommodated within parallel style. Okay, all tones are acceptable. But what is it necessarily? They are constructions that stand in an identical grammatical relationship to the same thing. Let's look at what that means. Okay, examples. We will come when we are ready and when we choose. Okay. So the main idea here is about someone coming down, but they are dependent on two things: when we are ready and when we choose. Okay. So when we are ready and when we choose are the two parallel constructions there. Are they grammatically similar? Is when we are ready and when we choose, both of them, do you see that they are grammatically similar to each other? Same structure, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When we are ready and when we choose, both of them are related to the we will come part. Okay, that main clause that you have in the beginning. Both of them are related to that particular part, and additionally, they are grammatically similar also. They're grammatically similar constructions. But we will come when we are ready. So if I am to split open this, how do you check if it is if a sentence is given in parallel style? You can split it open and you will have exactly the same kind of sentences, the same kind of grammatical constructions for both. So let's do it with this one. We will come when we are ready and when we choose. So if I split it open, you have we will come when we are ready. Full stop. We will come when we choose. Right? Two grammatically two sentences with similar grammatical constructions. See this? Yes? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look at the second one. In its energy, its lyrics, its advocacy of frustrated joys. Rock is one long symphony of protest. Okay, what is the main part that is being referred to in part? What is the main part? Can you identify?
Rock music.
No. Just identify the part in the sentence which is which is being referred to.
Rock
Oh.
genre of the music.
Rock, right? Rock is one symphony. So it's talking about rock. And what are the parallel constructions here? Its energy, its lyrics, its advocacy of frustrated joys, right? All of them are pointing towards what? Rock. And all of them have similar grammatical constructions, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right? Okay. Fine. So I'm glad that you understand what parallel style means. We'll also look at, just to understand what it clearly and well, we'll look at the third and fourth one also. The Department of Justice began a vigorous campaign to break up the corporate empires, to restore the free and open market, and to plant the feet of the industry firmly on the road to competition. Okay. So what is it referring to, the main part in the third sentence?
Department of Justice.
Is it Department of Justice?
Sorry, vigorous campaign. The
Vigorous,
campaign.
right? Vigorous campaign. Vigorous campaign is the one that is being referred to by all those three parallel constructions, which are to break up the corporate empires, to restore the free and open market, and to plant the feet of the industry firm. Right? All those three are similar grammatical constructions with the to infinitive form of the verb, right? To restore, to break, to plant. Okay. Now, I know you understand this, but to make it clearer to you, if I will rewrite the sentence as the Department of Justice began a vigorous campaign to break up the corporate empires, to restore the free and open market, and planting the feet of the industry firmly on the road to freedom. Okay. So, for example, I changed the last part to plant. I changed it to from to infinitive. I have changed it to the ing form, planting the feet of the industry, the participle form ing. Then the parallel style breaks. Okay, then the parallel style breaks, then it cannot be called a parallel style anymore, because now all the three are no more in a, they are no more in the similar grammatical form anymore, right? So it is only a parallel if all the three things connected to that one point on vigorous campaign take up the same grammatical form. Even if one breaks away from that given format, then the parallel style breaks. Okay, stylistically, I mean. Understand this part? Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. So similarly for the last one also, this is also again something in the two infinitive form. To complain of the age we live in, to murmur at the present possessors of power, to in the past, to conceive extravagant hopes of the future are the common dispositions of the greatest part of mankind. So unless all of them take the same grammatical format, grammatical structure, you cannot have the parallel style. Even if one breaks away from it, then the parallel style breaks. Okay. So if the parallel style breaks like that, then what do we call that style? We don't have a name for that style, then probably it becomes a mix of several styles together, which usually is the case with writing, right? When you write, what is like I told you, we combine all of them. So you don't have a particular piece of writing where you only have, say, segregating style, or you only have, say, frightening style. The most realistic way of writing anything would be to have a combination of all the three we discussed. So you can have parallel style, you can have segregating style, you can have the fright frame style, within which you can again, juggle with, experiment with the combination of long with a short sentence. Long comes first and short comes later, or short comes first and long comes later. So what you ideally do in a realistic piece of writing, or a writing in the real world, will have a combination of all this. Okay? What we do is, how do you think people have come up with this? Okay, they did not sit down and write down these rules and then, approach the writer saying that, hey, we have the styles and please write it down from now onwards in this way. What they did is they have looked at pieces of writing that, great pieces of writing, great essays written by great authors, have deduced these things from their way of writing. Right, like Hemingway is he's an American novelist. People have looked at his work and have deduced, oh, this is the way Hemingway writes. So his style of writing, his style of using sentences and language is so and so. And then people said, okay, so that means to convey an idea in a particular way, maybe we can use this style. That's how things have come down, right? So we look at the larger piece of writing and then we deduce these styles. Okay. Who asked that question? Shrestha. Okay. So if the parallel style breaks, then we don't have a name for the parallel style breaking. We just say that this is not parallel style because this does not fit the definition of parallel style. That's all. Okay. Okay, more examples in parallel style. I think it's clear to you by now. But I think this particular examples are for the last point on tone. Okay, this last point, it can accommodate various tones like ironic, emotional, or intellectual. So this slide is on that. Okay, let's look at this. Joan of Arc, a village girl from the Vosges, was born about 1412, burnt for heresy, witchcraft, and sorcery in 1431. Rehabilitated after a fashion in 1456, designated venerable in 1904, declared blessed in 1908, and finally canonized in 1920. What is the tone? Read that and tell me. We'll stop in another 2 minutes, okay, and continue in the next class, but we'll finish this slide. Ironic, emotional, intellectual. What is the tone? Please read it again. Joan of Arc, a village girl from the Vosges, was born about 1412. Burnt for heresy. Yeah, it is ironic. Why?
Because she was burned first for heresy and then she was
Yes.
declared as blessed in 1908.
Yeah, right. And then they burned somebody, accusing her of witchcraft and sorcery. Then went ahead to rehabilitate her after a fashion. Then designated her as venerable. Okay, somebody who should be worshipped. Declared her blessed in 1908 and then finally canonized her in 1928. Basically made her a saint. Canonization means declaring someone as a saint, right? So from beginning from a very negative activity, by perpetrating violence towards her, by killing her, somebody has now come to now calling her blessed, right? So the tone is ironic. Tone is ironic here, and you see the parallel construction there. What is the parallel construction? Burned for heresy. So the past tense construction, burned for heresy, witchcraft and sorcery, rehabilitated after the fashion, declared blessed, canonized in 1926. So all of them are in the simple past construction. All of them have identical grammatical forms. So they are written in parallel style and the tone is ironic. Okay. Now the second one. He, George III, has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Tone, tone, emotional, right? Somebody's trying to appeal to someone's emotion. Looks like now this is a speech by Thomas Jefferson. Okay, so probably from the part of the speech that he was making to an audience, trying to appeal to them emotionally. Read the speech by Mark Antony from Julius Caesar. Go through it. Okay. And just take this as an exercise from the class. Just go through that speech by Mark Antony and see how it is written. Okay? That is written by Shakespeare. The English may not be very familiar to you. It's written from belongs to that particular period, the Middle English, right? But the tone may not be very different. Look at how they have placed the sentence, and you will understand better what this means. So this one, the second one that you see on screen, is more emotional in nature, and the sentence style used is parallel, right? Plundered our seas, ravaged our cause, burnt our towns, destroyed their lives. All of them are in similar grammatical constructions. Okay. And the last one here by John F. Kennedy. Let every nation know whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and success of liberty. Okay, can be both emotional and intellectual tone. Okay, now again, when it comes to tone, not necessary that you have just one kind of tone used. There can be a mix and match of tones too. Like the last one by the then John F. Kennedy, JFK, he is specifically addressing the people of America and also giving out a message to other leaders of the world. Okay, about the values that the American nation stands for. So let every nation know whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and of liberty. So it also is intellectual in the way that it is sending out a message to people. It's emotional in the way that it is addressing the people of his nation about the core values that they stand for, right? But if you look at it closely, the grammatical construction again is parallel in style, right? Pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship. All of them, they have similar grammatical constructions. Okay, all right. So you understand parallel style clearly now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So we'll stop here. I hope this will build and help you improve while you write more. Keep these things in mind. Okay, read them and understand, and slowly start incorporating them into your writing. Don't try to do all of them together. Maybe practice, one by one, but definitely use them, and you will see that your writing will significantly improve. Okay. We have more to this. Styles haven't come to an end on this. We have the subordinating style and the fragment remaining in this particular part. We'll take it up in the next class. Okay. Today, I think we have discussed more than enough to stop. Okay. So I am not going to start anything new now. I stop here. If you have doubts, you can ask me, or else we'll call it a day and meet next week.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ma'am, have you shared these slides with us in the previous classes, or will
It's
you be
not.
sharing?
Yes, yes. Previous classes would have been shared. If they are not, just let me know. This one will be shared today because we had a
Okay.
class today, so I haven't been shared, but it will all be shared.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. If you don't have any doubts, then yeah. I'll close the session. Okay. See you next week, all of you.
Ma'am, can we leave?
Yeah, sure, you can. Told you. If you have doubts, you can stay back. Otherwise, all of you can leave the session.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you,
just
ma'am.
wait for 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. Just wait for 2 minutes to see if anyone has doubts. Otherwise, I'll close it in 2 minutes.